So hello and welcome, Splinter fam. Today on our expert panel, we have a number of content creators from the Splinterlands community. Guys, do you want to just introduce yourselves and tell us what you guys do?
Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. You know me, Splinterlands all day, every day, because it's changed my life, and I think it can change yours. So glad to be here, Llama.
Hey guys, and this is Stever82. I'm pretty much a longtime player, content creator. Glad to be here because I don't always make it to these things during the day.
And guys, this is your boy Jim Morgan. You know, the 6'4", 255 alpha gamer, ready to talk about speculation and investing.
And hello, this is Tales from the Cryptmancer, and yeah, happy to be on the panel and joining today.
Nice. So guys, today I understand the community is divided in regards to the latest proposals regarding the DEC and SPS, or trying to return DEC back to its peg. What are our thoughts? What are our initial thoughts?
I think,
Yes, please.
I like it.
I think my initial thoughts when I was going over these, and they kind of released them in a weird order, was a big time no. You know, like this is just a short time band-aid. There's not enough volume for sure, guaranteed. You're hurting the people that were willing to get into the pre-sale and you know, buy these packs early and compete. And all of them are going to lose value in the things that they own. Also that you could like pump DEC up just a tiny bit. Then they drop out, oh wait, we'll also do an elimination of the liquidity pools, and we'll also do Lux Vega. And it feels like they did that after they realized how mad they were making us. So it's a bit of a weird time for me, because I'm like, you know, I feel like you did some bad proposals, then you finally did some of the good ones the community had mentioned to you. And now we're supposed to see, you know, when does each one of these things go into place changes a lot how I feel.
Yeah, I think what I would say, Steve, I agree with that as well. I think the first two proposals for the Rift Watchers and the Validator node proposals were unfortunately ill-timed and not in tune with the community. I think the removal of the LP rewards and cutting off the faucet of the DEC is, you know, just a win-win for everyone. Should pass pretty cleanly. And it's been asked for the community for some time, as well as the Lux Vega for DEC just makes a lot of sense. And I think I did the math. I posted it on Twitter. I think it's like 1.6 billion SBC or DEC would be consumed if everyone bought 1,000 copies of Lux Vega with DEC. So it's a pretty big deal as well. And I think the biggest thing here for me, as I looked at the proposals that Matt initially came with, is, you know, they obviously want to get DEC back to peg, to get the flywheel in motion with SPS burn and all this other stuff. Within a bear market, my concern is, you know, there's no guarantee that would even happen if they made these changes to Rift Watchers and node licenses. You know, take apart the fact that, as you mentioned, it pretty much screws over anyone that purchased Rift Watcher pre-sale, or changes the whole way nodes work moving forward, which is a separate problem. But, you know, we've got Chaos Legion packs, like about 4.8 million of those still in the market at a discount for DEC. We've got tower defense packs that are paying good APR for DEC at a discount, and none of that's moved the market. We've got guild brawls coming up, which should help burn some additional DEC as well. But, you know, I think there's no guarantee that the two initial proposals would change things for the market, because nothing else has in this bear market. So I think that's maybe a problem with the proposals in and of themselves. And again, I think that the challenge is they should be looking at things like, you know, the game itself, challenges that we're facing on a daily basis with rating systems, with you know, things like the champion reward pool disbursements and kind of who that's going to in the percentages, the new user experience, things like that to move the needle, rather than things that just aren't guaranteed to work. One other point, sorry, real quick, one other point is, you know, the reason why I don't think these other things would move the needle is everyone's just all spent out. They don't have fiat to bring in from the side. They're all the money is within the ecosystem. And until you get more money coming in from outside the ecosystem, it's just not going to move the needle.
Stop for a second and say like what because I think there's going to be a certain proportion that click on the video and they don't even really know what the proposals are. I would just briefly say, without getting into deep detail, it's like the idea of using DEC to buy Riftwatcher packs or validator nodes, and with the hope that that would delete a good amount of DEC from the marketplace, thereby driving up DEC price, and helping our economy, because then that would facilitate burning SPS, because you could trade SPS for DEC, and there would be no other way to get DEC. Not entirely, but like that's a short way of thinking it through. That's the thinking. That's the idea. I think I'm with Tails and maybe even Steve around. I don't know that this is going to work like that, but that's the intended idea and what it would do.
I think Tails touched on it there as well. My biggest question I have is there sufficient demand to close that gap and bring DEC back to peg in a short period of time? And secondly, is it likely to stay there? In order to keep it at peg, we're going to need consistent demand and product syncs. Do we have those yet? Are they available? I think Splinterlands could do a little bit better in regards to information they release in their proposals. I read, a bit of the Mav chat, and it seemed like either people are absolutely fuming or simply unsure about how they should cast their vote. And right there, we could say that we need the data that supports proposals as big as these. There are a lot of smart people in the community, and if they can determine, well, hey, this is actually going to benefit me significantly in the long run, or, even prepare us as content creators so we can break it down for people, then I think people would be more likely to agree rather than having unproductive flame wars in Mav chat.
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, there's a lot of that. And I think I've talked about on my channel about how I feel like that's a bit of the bear market energy. There's just like people's bags are, less expensive. They've at least on paper lost value. And then that leads into a degree of tension, and you do want to see that going in the direction that you perceive is going to benefit those bags. And I guess I do feel that this is, while I think it might actually impact the economy in a positive way to some degree, as they're intending, to some degree. I don't actually think it'll be as impactful as they think. And I do think if they try this and it doesn't work, that's actually like a really big error, because it has these unintended consequences of what does it say about pre-sales in the future, and the excitement and exuberance around that. But then also, you can't really, it's like this is the nuclear option. And if that doesn't work, I feel like there's going to be an acknowledgement that there is really this is just a market force. Splinterlands can't micromanage this into in the way they want. But more than that, they've this actually damages, in my opinion, and this maybe is for the best, but this is a damage. They're changing. They had a sales pitch around SPS over the last, I don't know, 6 months, maybe even a year, where we've understood how important it would be, and even like absolutely the cornerstone of the economy of Splinterlands. They moved DEC out of the reward pool, out of the loot chests. They made certain things SPS only. They talked about how SPS was going to go into the DAO through that. Everything was about like, you don't have enough, you're going to want more. SPS is the thing. If you don't have SPS, you're not going to, and I think this move is an attempt to try and help the SPS pricing, but in an indirect fashion, and most people don't see that. And so then I think they're seeing this as, in fact, I've had people tell me, this is just an attempt for them to pump their own DEC bags. And this has very little to do with SPS, and it's moving that target. So we had a ton of investors chase after SPS because it's the cornerstone, because it's the only way to get Riftwatchers, because it's the only way to get validator nodes. And now that's not the case. And it's like, actually DEC is the core. So that's what I see the real risk here. If it doesn't work, is like, that's a big deal to a significant proportion of our community. I'd love to see what you guys think about that.
I'm actually pro this or both of these proposals, like Jim is there as well. And I understand completely that it may leave a bad taste in people's mouths. But look at it this way. People were actually happy when the team allowed Chaos Legion to be purchased at a discount under peg, which is basically the same as what they're proposing now. The only difference, I guess, was the time in between it actually happening with Chaos Legion as opposed to Riftwatcher and nodes. And no one got upset about that. And that wasn't even a
Well,
proposal. They just implemented
Is
it
it?
without a choice.
that's different though. The regular set has always been for sale for DEC. Untamed was as well. And then just like in the past, they've done when they do these special other sets, they put special rules out before. Like Rift Watchers to me was specifically meant to fill the DAO with SPS so that the DAO would be ready for, it's a ways off, but there's a time where we stop issuing SPS. And if the DAO doesn't have a good amount sitting there ready, then it's not going to be able to keep up validator rewards. It's not going to be able to keep up LP rewards. And then that could be really detrimental to the game. And the Rift Watcher set was specifically meant to just fill the DAO up with just massive amounts of SPS.
Which is a store of value and is also one that is expected to increase in value, where if you had DEC, not the case. And to your point, Steve, I mean, Rift Watchers is what, a month old? And now we're changing the rules and giving 50% discounts roughly off the top. Doesn't make sense. Again, the team has not shown that they can get DEC to peg with other activities like Chaos Legion, like tower defense. So what is the thought that this all of a sudden is going to change the ball game substantially? I think it's just a bad look. It's bad timing. And it goes back to, I mean, look, we've been printing DEC at 15 times the rate it should be printed for the last year during the SPS airdrop. And then we didn't cut off, when the SPS airdrop ended, we didn't cut off the faucet of the LP reward pools like it should have been done. So we've been issuing another 70 million a month of DEC in the meantime. If you do an analogy and think of the government just printing money in that fashion, of course inflation is going to go up. Of course it's not going to go back to peg because you have much more supply than you have demand. And the way you fix that is start with the stuff that makes sense. Start with the LP reward removals. Start with the Lux Vega piece. Get SPS for guild brawls going so people start leveling up their guild buildings and taking DEC off the market that way. Those are things that can be done incrementally that's not going to upset the apple cart for no reason, with things like Rift Watchers, as Steve mentioned, and also the nodes. Changing the whole concept of the node licenses, moving it from an SPS burn and SPS DAO piece to straight DEC changes that whole model as far as what people have believed in and what people have invested in thus far. And that's pretty significant. If you look at, the nodes as basically bonded SPS, by changing it to DEC, it changes the whole equation. And I don't think that's something you do willy-nilly.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a big point. Like the price of the value of SPS was being spoken to or implied by it's going to be like it's finite, it's going to be locked up. It has the opportunity for significant appreciation, whereas DEC was this idea of like it's always going to print and it's this equal, it's going to stay stable, or the intention was it's going to stay stable. And I think in trying to make it stable, we're actually aiming. You have to like aim at it like a what is going to be essentially a pump to try and make it quote unquote stable. And I think that sort of pressure causes ripples in our economy and causes certain unintended consequences around people's behavior and what they do with their crypto and cards and everything. I think patience is the answer. Like just stop trying to fix it now and just like understand that if you lower, like if you just do small things, like for instance, stopping the LP creation of DEC or slowing it even in some dramatic fashion. I think stopping is the right answer, but do something there rather than trying to, well, what if we price everything in DEC, even if, like I think maybe that's an overreaction.
In the beginning, of course, the first obvious solution that would come to anyone's mind was to get to the finish line, I guess, as quickly as possible, is to list all the products in SPS so that we can burn more SPS, reduce its supply, and or, I guess, send it to the DAO. But that hasn't been in a meaningful enough way because we don't have the sufficient demand. However, if every product was in DEC and we had to burn SPS to receive that DEC, people have no choice. Then the burns of SPS would be continuous and in the long term extremely meaningful. And right now, I think the economy is broken and we can't hope for the economy to run as intended without DC at its peg. So I guess, this is the next solution, or the solution that they see. And again, we need more data. I think Splinterlands needs to do a better job at being a bit more transparent so that we can understand these decisions. It's crazy that those two proposals were just thrown out there after a town hall, when that's huge proposals. You know, there was obviously a lot of confusion, a lot of people being angry about it in the Mav chat. So I think there needs to be more data there. You can't just go, okay, blah, here we go, look at this, and then give us your feedback. Give us more data so that we can actually understand the reasons behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also just say it definitely is a bad look, Llama, and you hinted on it there. I mean, we had a town hall on Monday, and it ended early, and then it wasn't even discussed as a topic on the town hall, and they dropped the proposals right after the town hall. I mean, talk about, sneaking stuff under the radar, right? That's just a bad look.
Yeah, Matt should have been in there. Matt should have. I think they should have done it at the next town hall. Matt should have been there and tried to explain it to the community in a way where people wouldn't get so pissed off.
Well, if that isn't the purpose of the town hall, to talk about these things before they drop and give us kind of some runway to land the plane here, then what is the purpose of the town hall? If you've probably heard my rant in my video about the town hall and the janitors and stuff. Well, if we can't talk about proposals that are dropping the minute after the town hall is over that has people kind of concerned, then what are we doing? But besides that, I mean, that's just obviously a miss, and whatever, it is what it is. But just going back to the timing, we just talked about Rift Watchers only being a month old and changing the rules of the game, but changing the game for nodes. We don't even have nodes running. Like, we have the licenses that are giving rewards out, which is great, which is early, but you're changing the rules of the nodes, and you don't even have one productive validator license node deployed. So why are we even talking about changing the model here at this point in time when you don't even have a valid live product? So again, it just is not a good look and not a good feel. Again, to your point about the data, I would love to see the data and see more of it to suggest to see why the team thinks this will move the needle where others have not moved the needle. Because again, at the end of the day, the problem with the SPS purchase for Rift Watchers right now is if you're buying Rift Watchers with fiat, $5 is $5. You don't care about the SPS transfer at that point if you're coming with external money. The problem is with SPS being at a really low value, let's say 5.5 cents, most people, even if you're earning SPS for free in the game, value that SPS more. So they don't want to pay, 100 SPS for a Rift Watcher pack. So you're kind of in this conundrum of, no one internally in the ecosystem necessarily wants to let their SPS go for that price. So you're kind of in a stalemate. But this goes back to my original point, is that if you want to really see an uptick here in sales and the economy, focus on the game experience and getting new users interested in the game. Because without that, I mean, you're just gonna have to sit and wait through the bear market because there's really no other, silver bullet here.
The answer is something different. I think it's not new user. It's not like, yeah, those things are important for sure. But I think the economy is driven by and the new user adoption is actually driven by the crazy price appreciation of the assets, and that, I think, to me, is the cornerstone of what this whole conversation is. Like, if you're trying to figure out DEC, SPS, like what pricing, and they want more users, all those problems are solved if the card prices go up. How do card prices go up? You stop creating new packs. And I think they've talked about that with the 3-month window and the hiatus that they want to implement moving forward. But right now we have 5 million Chaos Legion packs available, and we have like 2.5 million Rift Watcher packs. And then there's validator nodes, and you made the point earlier, I think, Tails, that there's just not a lot of fresh money. And yeah, one answer to that is how could we create new desire for new investors to get here and spend money? That'd be one path. But I don't think in a bear market that's a realistic path. I think the realistic path is just recognizing that we've got too much product on the shelves at this moment, and not cutting deals and not figuring out sales pitches to like bleed a few more dollars out of the existing player base, and not also to try and drum up new business, because there isn't a lot in a bear market, but just patiently waiting for those products to sell, because they will. And then when they do, giving like that 3-month hiatus that they've already acknowledged is valuable. and then just watch what happens to card prices in that moment. That isn't actually in short term good for new users, because it means that prices of playing the game go up, but it'll draw excitement around the game and bringing in new players, and that creates even more price pressure on cards and packs. And that's where you start to see videos about, holy, it's making this much money, and that's when tens of thousands of new accounts are signing up. I think that's more the play as opposed to any of this economic monkeying around.
Aren't you a hodler of Chaos Legion packs, Dwayne? Do you still have a bunch or what?
Yeah, about 900.
This will also increase the value of your Chaos Legion packs as a knock-on effect, because Chaos Legion will be worth $4 per pack once DEC is back to peg. And not only that, but that has a butterfly effect on rentals and purchasing singles on the card market if packs are worth $4 a piece. So all Chaos Legion assets will increase in value as a result if DEC is at peg.
Only if it is at peg, and I'm not convinced it will be.
How do you believe so quickly that these kind of things will drum up enough people buying DEC?
That's my issue, is there sufficient demand to keep DEC at peg? And do we have enough product sinks to in perpetuity to keep it there? But to Tal's point before, when you were talking about Rift Watchers and discount on Rift Watchers, or the temporary discount on Rift Watchers if these proposals were passed, weren't Rift Watcher packs purchased when SPS was around 30 to 40% higher anyway? Meaning everything now costs way more than it did before in terms of SPS anyway. So doesn't that kind of just work out in the wash anyway?
But that's are you talking of, Matt kind of made this point, didn't he? And it's kind of like a market pressure versus like a free market pressure of SPS going up, down, and you can't know which way it's going to go, versus like the team coming in. And this is a point I wanted to make here, and I'd love to hear thoughts. It's related to what you're saying there. The idea of like, they're coming in and they're saying, this is what we want to do. This is a governance decision. It's like a top down, let's control the economy decision. And the team has really said, like, we want to have decentralized governance. And I know that's going through proposal, so that is decentralized. But it's like, these proposals come from somebody, and then they get voted on. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like the like spirit of our community decided this is a good idea. It's like one or two people said, this is a good idea, let's put the proposal through. And then now it might actually happen because a percentage of our community believe that's appropriate, and that is decentralized. But I think that it's just this is the governance model is one of the things I'm confused about right now. Like, are we being run by Matt and Aggroed and like a team of people, or is it like our community actually? And then there's the whole whale conversation around SPS holders, and because that ultimately matters. Like, it's like, who has the opportunity to say, I mean, I don't really get a chance to go out and say, I think the game should be changed in X way, not in a meaningful sense. I can raise it in a town hall, I can do a video. You know what I mean? Like, is it a decentralized game, or is it a centralized game with two people who lead the show and make these calls? I'm starting to wonder.
But right now, I believe that the team holds around 15% of the vote. Due to their SPS holdings. So
yeah, but the team is the only one that can put in proposals. So for now,
that's
it's
true.
Not decentralized.
That's true.
If
That's
I
very
can't
true.
put one in,
that's why we need more transparency, right? We need to understand the data, and this data needs to be available. Because if we could guarantee that DEC was be able to be driven back to peg in this bear market, and if we saw the evidence of that data behind it, then I can guarantee that people would be voting for it. And if it was in the for benefit of every Splinterlands asset holder, then it would be great, and we'd all be happy. But if it doesn't, as Dwayne was saying before, then there's going to be a huge uproar from the community, because then they would have discounted the nodes and Rift Watcher packs temporarily for no reason, and the people who purchased those assets at elevated prices will definitely not be happy. So let's just be more transparent.
Something about the data that we do know, like we know, this is from like other YouTubers that I've heard talking about the number of DEC out there, and then you look at how many packs, how much, if you paid 5,000 DEC for each pack, it could theoretically gobble up all of the liquidity of DEC. But the thing you have to remember is that it's not just, oh wow, the DEC is going to give me this good opportunity, I'm going to buy all the Rift Watcher packs. That's simplistic thinking. It's actually more nuanced. It's like the DEC is worth roughly 5,000 DEC is worth roughly, I don't know, $3 or something like that, 275 right now. And the Rift Watcher packs are a quote unquote $5 value, but they're not. The cards inside them are worth roughly 350. And so that's really, for the most part, what investors who are going to do this sort of arbitrage are going to be tracking. And so that's the margin of like influence that we have with this decision, with this power, with this change. And what's almost certainly going to happen that isn't good for players. Like we talked about earlier, card values are important to people like myself and to everyone who plays the game. You want your cards to go up. This for sure, if this passes, is going to release more Rift Watcher packs in a rapid fashion to the marketplace. Those cards are going to get opened, they're going to get sold in the marketplace, and card prices will go down. For sure, like 20 to 25% is my prediction because of that arbitrage opportunity. You're gonna sell your DEC to buy packs, and you're gonna sell the cards on the market right away because you actually can get 25%. In that, and then you're going to see this equilibrium where DEC goes up slightly and Rift Watcher cards go down slightly. Is that good for the community? I'm not convinced. That sounds like it's good for the whales who hold DEC.
If this went through immediately, the big DEC holders would start buying packs at what, like 45% off, 40% off, and they would drive it up, and they would just dump the packs into the pack markets because those packs are currently sitting at like 4.25, right? On Hive Engine. So they're gonna ruin that market first, and then they're gonna ruin the card market and just flood the market full of cards, and then we'll hit some kind of equilibrium at some point where that arbitrage stops. But DEC won't be at peg, it might be at 70 cents or maybe 80 cents for 1,000, but you're gonna hit a spot where that stops, and then you're gonna need regular players who want to buy to push the price back up on DEC, and when it doesn't happen, we're just going to be sitting there. But maybe Lux Vega can get us there too.
Do we have any other solutions? Do you guys have any other solutions, or can you think of anything else where the community won't be so unhappy about?
Well, I think certainly the proposals, the liquidity pool proposal is solid. The Lux Vega activity is solid. Those things will help. Again, the guild SPS raw rewards will help as well. These are all things that'll slowly help. But maybe the cavalry that we need is, just a week away. Because here's the thing is, if somehow Rooney can be successful on OpenSea, and we can open the gate, the cross-chain gate from Ethereum into Splinterlands, it only takes, realistically, maybe a few dozen ETH whales coming into the ecosystem, and the Magic 8 Ball says prospects look a lot better, right? Because if you've seen some of the data that I posted on Twitter, there's a very small segment of, let's say, holders in the ecosystem as far as cards go, as compared to the number of active accounts in the game. So if you have a few big wallets come in and start to get interested, that honestly could move the market substantially as well. So maybe that is, in addition to these other factors, things that could change things for us. But again, we have to see.
Yeah, I think if you go to the program, you stop issuing it, you sell Lux Vega, and then you look where you're at. Because DEC, the problem with it is it needs to be at peg for the flywheel effect of burning burning SPS to DEC to start to work. But if you try to force it through now, and I really think right now is a terrible time to force it through. How many of us are sitting here going like, boy, my wallet looks kind of empty on what I wanted to spend after getting into all of these different pre-sales and buying Roonies. And so now you're going to flip this switch and you're going to expect me to pour more money in to DEC, or miss out on this opportunity and watch if I don't take advantage of it, all of my assets go down in value. It's asking a lot of the community, and I don't like it.
Yeah, you don't want to keep squeezing the stone here and try and get more out of it. If there's I think we're all seriously invested in this game, and I think if you look around at us, we're all probably going, man, if this were to happen, what could we even do? I think, I don't know about you guys, but I'm tapped. I got nothing left. So
in Australia, we say tapped as in like you have like mental issues.
Oh,
well,
here
that's
we
probably
call
true
it
too.
something else.
So I was thinking, let me know your thoughts on this. So we saw how well the SPS airdrop worked and what that did to the price of DEC, right? At one stage, I think it was over 12 times peg value. So why not make the GLX airdrop based on DEC instead of staked SPS? Maybe we don't do the 1-for-1 airdrop points like the SPS airdrop, but whatever the right math is, so that maybe you say, well, you need perhaps 20 DEC per GLX airdrop point or whatever it is. Then once we get DEC back to peg, then we can change all purchasable assets into in Splinterlands to DEC to make sure that it stays there. And then there as well, depending on GLG's success, this could actually burn a whole lot of SPS during their airdrop period too.
My initial reaction is, like, I think my whole motto with the channel and with this game is like time, patience, like just be a long enough time horizon is the target for me. It's not like days, weeks, months, it's years. And so I feel like all of this in these proposals are like trying to really rapidly return it to DEC to peg, because that would objectively be good for our economy. If DEC was back at peg, that would 100% help everything, card values, pack sales, that would be really good. SPS burning, all of that's great, but why do we have to rush there? Like, why are we changing the direction, the trajectory, the plan around validator nodes, around pack sales? And I think moving forward, Rebellion and everything, let's do this peg thing. Let's see this target and let's move toward it slowly. Like, why would we change GLX, or why would we change Riftwatch, or why would we change validator nodes at this point? Because there's also an argument to be made that like we had a plan with SPS, DEC needs this plan, but like why can't that be a 4-year plan and not a 4? It feels like we're trying to make a 4-week plan, and I'm saying like, what's the deal? Why can't we just be patient for the next 3-4 years? I mean, that's what I've seen significant growth in this game. It's not.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you, but at the end of the day, there was a mistake made with SPS airdrop and the total diluted supply of SPS as well. There's too much of it. There's just too much. And at the end of the day, we need to burn that supply and reduce that total supply to see value in SPS. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen.
if you compare SPS, the max circulation, to some other competitors in the market space, like for example Gala, it's not even close. We have just a fraction of like what Gala is going to have, and Gala is doing just fine too. So I don't think the number of tokens is the problem. I do agree from the DEC side, I should say, that we do need to have sinks and we need to scale that down. But again, it seems very odd to me in the grand scheme of things. The concept of burning SPS to get DEC back at peg wasn't even a thing until, let's say, 3 or 4 months ago. It wasn't even a concept in the game, right? So for all of a sudden to say that the savior of SPS in our whole game economy is the burning to peg mechanism seems a little silly. I will say it's definitely a better thing that's come along as far as an idea goes, which is great, but it shouldn't be the sole purpose of everything we do in the near term from the economy side, because, well, it wasn't even a thing just a while ago.
It wasn't. It wasn't a thing, but they've realized that it needs to be.
For sure. No, I'll admit it's a really great idea, and it's a really great concept, and it should be focused on moving forward for Rebellion, which I think they'll do. I just don't think they need to change everything, to Dwayne's point, right now, and change how everything operates because of that. You don't just change everything willy-nilly or on a dime.
No.
Just because you still have to execute your plan, and you can't change it, on a week-to-week basis. That's not how you run an ecosystem in a game and tokenomics. So that's where I think the challenge is we're seeing these concepts, which are great, and we're learning from it. And I think Matt's honestly a genius, and I think over time he'll continue to refine things here and get us in a good spot. I just don't think these two proposals for validator nodes and Rift Watchers are necessary at this time, and I think we will get there, as Dwayne mentioned. I just don't see the reason for these two.
I agree. Everything needs to be progressive, and they don't need to do everything right away. That's not my point. But it needs to happen eventually. These things need to be slowly implemented, whether it happens now or whether it happens later. There is the need for a reduction in the total supply of SPS. Jim, you've hardly said anything, Jim. Jim, are you there still?
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, Jim, you joined us.
Oh, my mic's working now. Okay, that's good. I've been saying a lot this whole time. So,
do you have anything to say on this point? I just realized I'm looking at my screen and where your avatar is. I just realized that it hasn't blinked up for some time.
I've just been letting you guys talk. One thing I definitely like to do is listen first. So thank you all for speaking. One thing I've noticed with Splinterlands is they tend to learn over time and also figuring out what the community wants, right? You guys were saying it. Matt's a genius, and eventually he will hone his skills a bit more
and take over the world.
When maybe, and hopefully we can be there with him. And so when they went out and proposed these two, right, there was a lot of backlash in the chats, like you were talking about. And from that, all right, they learned, okay, now in theory, if you give DEC more outlets to be spent, it should go up in price, in theory. But now they were hearing more from the community. They're like, okay, what is the biggest problem? Or what is a more problem than not having enough sinks for it? Well, Sinister was saying, you have to turn off the faucet. I think we're all pretty much in agreement that you get rid of the DEC from the LP rewards. I think it's 70 million, right? 70 million coming in every single month.
Yeah, and
on top of the large supply.
Yeah.
Oh, is it 7 mil?
No, it's 70 mil in liquidity, and then 7 mil in leaderboards.
Okay. So we have still quite a lot coming in. And which, once you get rid of that, I think we have an okay amount of sinks for DEC. And over time, that will start to accrue, and then I think increasing the price of DEC. But I'm also not against these other two proposals. Sure, we could say that it's a bad look for them that they changed their mind, especially with Rift Watchers being so new. I think if we want to have a really big splash in the amount of DEC climbing, I think if all of these go through, I could definitely see these numbers changing closer to peg. Steve was saying closer to 80 cents on the dollar, maybe 85. But also with Lux Vega, they were talking about in one of Bulldog's recent videos, they were talking to Aggie about how about you put in these other ones, if they pass, hypothetically, if they pass, wait till after the Lux Vegas stuff. Because it's then also going to give people time to figure out what it is they're going to do as well. Lux Vegas is probably going to be next month. So if you get rid of DEC, you have Lux Vega. Yeah. If all of these go through, I think it would have a huge impact. If one of these two on the validator nodes or Rift Watchers go through and the other one, it's not going to be as much of an impact. I think in order for it to make a huge impact, all of these have to go through.
Yeah, I would just say, show us the data. Without the data, it's hard to say.
That's it. That's all I want to say. I think the main crux of this conversation is we need more data. We need more transparency. How can we know that they can keep it at peg or closer to peg, and it's just not going to fall flat on its ass again?
It's like more or less, like either tons more clarity with data supporting these proposals in the first place, not just, hey, this is a good idea. Like, it feels like, hey, this is a good idea, let's throw that out there. Oh, you don't like it? Oh, how about this? That feels too. So either more data or less, and just take the like AAA video game title type approach where it's like, you know, Blizzard's not reaching out to the community. How do you guys feel about like this new character we're launching? They just do these things, and so if they ran it like that sort of, you know, CEO governance, which they don't want to do, but if they just took the reins and said, we're not going to do these weeklies anymore, we're just going to make a game and you either like it or you don't, you know, some people would actually love that, and others hate it. I'm saying one or the other. Don't give us this middle ground of like, we're kind of telling you and we're not giving any data.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add, I don't think the town hall is the place to do that, because if they go out and say what these proposals are in the town hall, there's going to be massive blow up in the chat of what a bunch of questions, and it's going to like take over the entire town hall.
But not if it's explained well. Not if it's explained well. No, and for instance, Matt was talking about it, and he could be more transparent and actually have supporting data behind his words.
I'm saying don't put it as like, sure, you can talk about it. Well, I don't even know if they should talk about it in town hall. They could say we're coming up with a proposal right after the town hall, and we're going to have another show of people talking about it. But it would be nothing but a bunch of questions about it. People are throwing their opinions into the chat about it. And with all of the other stuff they're trying to get in the town hall in those 1.5 to 2 hour mark, I don't think there's going to be enough time.
There could be if they meant to do it, though. Because if they said, hey, look, we have these proposals we want to put out. We think it's going to fix DEC. We think fixing DEC is going to fix SPS. Here's the numbers. Here's why. And they dedicated the whole town hall to putting out something as big as this. You could get through it if you just skipped some of the, you know,
right, but that's the whole thing.
Or that person.
It's the whole town hall.
It's a major change.
Yeah, the logistics doesn't matter. Whether it's on a town hall or whether you call it, you know, Proposal City.
Yeah, they make something else.
Yeah, I don't care what they do with it. They need to talk about it, though. They need to explain it, and they need to get the data.
Also, hasn't Matt put out 2 of those, like, blog posts about why he thinks or even sent those proposals forward? It was for the card one, and I want to say there was one about the new proposal.
He was in the Mav chat, and he gave like a pretty detailed description.
That's
of his
probably
view.
what it was.
And I did cover that on my channel, but it wasn't super like for instance, one big thing he said was, and he said, this will drive the price of DEC up rapidly, and I was like, okay, why do you like what he was talking about the Riftwatcher packs in particular. And I'm like, well, you're assuming that the packs are gonna sell, and then you're assuming that if they all sold, you're right, but if they don't all sell, I think you're wrong, and I don't think they'll all sell.
If you can't prove that it'll keep selling after that arbitrage is eaten up, because there will be an initial rush of people buying packs because you can buy them cheaper than they're worth on the secondary market, but that's gonna fix really quick. And it's gonna fix way before you sell all those packs. And then would a 25% discount on Riftwatcher packs get any of you to invest a lot of money?
A lot of money?
Well, yeah, come in and buy 1,000 packs.
Look, I barely bought 1,000 packs the first time.
So if none of us are going to do it, why is anyone else?
I'm like thinking that's possible. Like I could maybe, but it would be like it'd be like selling the kitchen sink and like everything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think we could all learn a valuable lesson out of this as well. Is that you know, we shouldn't FOMO. And we saw it in the largest capacity with Chaos Legion pre-sale when vouchers spiked to like $20 and Chaos packs cost like $4 a pack. But yeah, because of Chaos Legion and what happened there, I didn't actually purchase a single pre-sale Riftwatcher pack, nor have I even purchased any Riftwatcher cards on the secondary market yet. In fact, like I sold a large amount of my SPS while it was pumping in the Riftwatcher sale because I saw a reversal pattern, and then I recently bought it back at 5 cents because even though I expect another short leg down, I still think 5 cents is great value. And there was just an opportunity for me to seize a 30 to 35% gain on the value of SPS there. But with Riftwatchers, I'm just essentially waiting for cards that are going to be a consistent part of the meta to present themselves, and then I'll purchase those as singles.
All right, so this is what they need to do. They need to burn the rest of Chaos Legion packs, give us another 2 months on Rift Watchers, burn the rest of those packs, let all these other things go through, get rid of DEC LP rewards, and we're going to be fine.
I might actually support that mega proposal by Jim Morgan.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
I don't think we need to burn packs so much, but we do need to turn off the faucet. You need to support the current DEC sinks. You need DEC to climb up towards Peg, which will raise the value of everything in the game kind of inherently. And then eventually you need to, because I don't think it's a terrible thing, like if a brand new player came into the game and there's Chaos packs for sale and there's Rift Watcher packs for sale, and they can just go to Splinterlands and buy those packs. I think that's a better experience than coming in and having to buy them off the secondary market. But you have to, if DEC is supposed to be a stable coin, they have to stop issuing it.
Yep.
And that'll fix it. It might take longer than people want, but if they stop issuing it, it'll fix.
100%.
Yep.
I love how people are just aping into DEC at the moment before these proposals are even live, which is interesting.
I know, they're just like, that's it. Is the DEC just soaring because of that? Even the idea. But, you know, like, this is something, like, if they want to get rid of DEC, like, there are ways to just do that directly. Like, you could propose something where, look, you could do stocks do like splits and stuff. Like, couldn't we just theoretically, you've got 1 million DEC, you have 1% of the total DEC, you still get 1% of the total DEC, but we just shrink what that looks like, how many numbers are out there. That's like what Banana Republics do with their dollars. They're like, well, a dollar used to be worth something, now it's not, so now a $10 bill is essentially the dollar bill, and that's what we would be doing with DEC. How do you like that? The Splinterlands being compared to a Banana Republic?
Well, yeah, not a fan. But what I will say to Llama, your point, the reason why people are aping into DEC is because it's very clear that Matt and the team believe for Splinterlands to be successful, DEC needs to be at or around Peg.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you believe in the team and you believe in Matt, then DEC is a reasonable vehicle to be in right now.
I don't blame them at all, because it's kind of my token of choice at the moment too. Because, as you say, we know how serious the team is at getting DEC back to Peg. Before SPS can moon, DEC actually needs to be back at Peg. So, you know, 40% profits don't come around too often. Well, thanks guys for joining, and it's been nice to chat about this. I'm actually happy that we had some opposing views, which was nice to have a chat about. So thanks for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate it. It's been fun as always.